Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secure Team. The image that you're looking at right now is actually a scan taken from the Lunar Orbiter, which is a machine that NASA sent up. And the Lunar Orbiter program was a series of 5 unmanned lunar orbiter missions launched by the United States from 1966 to 1967 to map the moon and basically do reconnaissance to see what was on the moon, to see if there were any structures or military installations. So if you've ever heard of the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, that's what this image came from. So they sent this orbiter up there, and they scanned all edges. They went to every edge of the moon, took images. And this scan you're seeing here is said by many to be one of the only uncensored lunar orbiter, NASA images that has ever actually been released, or not so much released, but has been put online and seen by the public. Now, there's not a whole lot of information about this image other than these are LO images from a Professor Robinson's collection. And apparently this Professor Robertson has had them online. He put them online years ago, and they are uncensored. And so this image here and a handful of others were published by Professor Robinson from his own collection on the Arizona State University's Space Exploration Resources website. And this image here in particular contains an array of anomalous structures and objects, and contains the most mysterious and amazing of which is a structure that has come to be known as the Tower or the Spire. Now, all of these images, including this one, and this is according to Arizona State University, the lunar orbiter images were all digitally scanned at 400 dpi at the Lunar and Planetary Institute in Houston. Whole images were too large to be scanned at once and were broken up into 4 sections. So you will see dividing lines in this image where the entire image was pasted together. So now we'll get to these anomalies. And many people view Professor Robinson a saint within ufology research because he was able to scan these images and get them up before NASA was able to edit them out, because so far the only copies of images like this one you will even find online aren't from NASA, but they are from the Arizona State University's website, where they were put up years ago. So let's get to this tower, which we will zoom in on here, just so you can see where exactly in this image, so you can find it yourself. By the way, we will put links in the video description to these images and to more information about these images. And as we zoom in here, you'll start to see this towering structure come to life on the screen. And here we have a close-up view of the tower itself. And there are many interesting structures in this image, and these aren't just blurry rocks. I mean, these are straight edge, multiple straight edges, objects, mechanical looking shapes and structures that just simply do not belong. So firstly, we have this large tower, which we will outline for you, and we will also outline some of the other more prolific objects in this image. So let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit so we can see a little bit more of the surface area of this image and the objects within. So what you're seeing now is the zoomed out image. You can still see the tower, and we will go ahead and highlight a few of these main structures that really stick out to us and have stuck out to many others over the years and have become the core of the mystery surrounding this image and the structures within. So here in white lining, we have highlighted the tower and the structures at the base of it, which you're seeing here. We have also highlighted another structure that is to the lower left, down a ways from the tower, which almost looks like a capital letter H, and that's this structure you're seeing here. And then if we move back up to the tower, just below the tower, we have another amazing structure that's shaped almost like a fork, like the end of a fork or a letter E, a capital letter E, which we have highlighted here for you to see in white lining. And you can see it's perfectly straight edges. It has basically 3 prongs on it, like you would see on a fork. They have complete straight edges, and this structure, besides the tower, is, in my opinion, one of the second most amazing parts of this image. So here we have all three of the objects highlighted in white lining, just so you know what we're talking about. And we are going to go on to show you some more NASA images here in a minute, so bear with us because we have some new images that were sent to us recently of what looks like a definite pyramid on the moon, as well as some very mysterious other images that you're definitely going to want to see and that we're going to want your guys' opinions on. So first, let's deal with this image and these structures here. I will remove the white lining so we can now see the tower, we can see the fork-shaped object, and remember down to the lower left, you can see this H-like structure, where basically we have these two long structures that are actually sticking up into the air. You can see them sticking out over this large dark crater that's in shadow. So you can see these two lines, and then we see a smaller line coming across the middle of this object that looks like a large capital H. And now we'll move back to the tower and get a much better close-up view. And again, this is one of the go-to images in moon anomaly research that you always have people going to because it is so amazing, because it is such a smoking gun in this research, because it is an untouched NASA image, and because this tower has been looked at by countless researchers that hold weight, that have looked at these structures and have point blank called them out as having to be of an alien nature or of a possible human nature, we don't know. So we have this large tower here, and at the base of it there seem to be multiple buildings or structures, and it almost looks like the Space Needle. We have this long tower that goes up, and then we have almost what looks like a viewing area like you would see on the Space Needle in Seattle, up at the top here, sticking out like a sore thumb. And if you'll notice, and you can look at this image yourself after you watch this video, there are so many anomalous objects in this entire scan. I mean, this is just a small, tiny part of that giant scan that I showed you at the beginning of the video. So you can download the high-resolution scan and look for yourself. I mean, there are objects littered in this image, things that just don't look like they belong. So below the tower, we have this large E, or fork-shaped object. This looks like some sort of installation, a platform, a launch pad, possibly a building with 3 long hallways that branch out here on the end. And you can look at it for yourself. I mean, it's there. This isn't a trick of shadows. This isn't some weird rock. This tower is there. And then once again, we will zoom into this large letter H-shaped object so you can get a better view of it. And again, we'll highlight it, and you can see we have these 2 very large platforms that are going up. And if you look on the left side of this H-shaped object, you can actually see a shadow going up underneath this very long platform that kind of curves up into the air. And that shadow is right here, underneath the object, right on the left line of this H-shaped structure. So that definitely means that whatever this object is, it's hanging high above the ground. It's projecting a shadow underneath it. So it's an amazing image, and I urge all of you to download it afterwards because there have been many more discoveries in these scans. One of those discoveries are of what have been called moon spires, or these large, massive, pointy, towering structures, the image of which you're seeing here, which is basically just another part of this large scan. So this is all in the same image that you'll be able to download. And as you can see, we have what look like hundreds of these large, black, pointy spires coming up out of the moon's surface, just completely littering the surface. And once again, there's some other very odd-looking objects in this image. There's some objects that look like bridges. So once again, very mysterious and anomalous. I'll leave it up to you guys as to what these large, pointy objects are. Now, another very good find has actually come from another image, which you can find on the University of Arizona's website, and that is of this crater here. And basically what's been done here is you're actually seeing an animation showing 3 different images of this same crater, wherein which this elongated object appears and then disappears. And as the animation goes through, and you can see we're pointing out where the object is that appears and then vanishes again, is inside the crater. And it's a very long object, sort of an L-shaped object, and we will go ahead and zoom in on that for you right now. Now, yet another image that we want to show you guys is of this right here, wherein which we have a possible square object underneath the moon's surface, kind of being camouflaged. And you can see the image number of the LO scan up at the top here, and we'll zoom in for you just so you guys can get a better view of this weird square blending in with the moon's surface features. And I don't know, it just doesn't look like it belongs. So again, the jury's still out on this one, and we will let you guys decide. And we actually have some footage, video footage, telescopic footage for you guys to look at, showing some of these massive square buildings on the moon. But first and lastly of the images, we want to show you this here, which was actually just captured and sent to us yesterday by a viewer and friend of ours who was scanning through moon images after having watched one of our videos. He sent in this image to us, by the way, the link to which you'll find down in the video description, of what certainly appears to be a massive pyramid. So here's the zoomed out image. This is the entire image here. Once again, it's an LRO, lunar orbiter image, and if you will point your attention to this area right here, you will see what the viewer saw in the form of a massive object towering above the moon's surface, casting a very, very large shadow. That object which is just now coming into view and you are looking at now. So we have this large pyramid-shaped structure here. And once again, we will outline this object, which you're seeing here with the white lines. And even without the lines, you can see that it has a definite pyramid-like shape. And this thing would have to be massively tall. I mean, in length and width, this thing is huge. And you can see the giant shadow being cast down behind the object. And I gotta say, this is a damn good find. Because of the size of this thing, it sticks out like a sore thumb even when the image is zoomed all the way out, which is why the viewer of ours was able to see it. I mean, he saw it even without zooming in and scanning over the entire image. This thing sticks out. So it could be a pyramid, it could be another object. We cannot see the other side of it because it's in shadow, but the front of it definitely is in the shape of what looks like a triangle, pyramid-like shape. So definitely something to look at and analyze yourself. And we want to thank our viewer for sending that in to us. Lastly, and certainly not the least, we have some older telescopic footage that you may or may not have seen before, but we felt that it was paramount to use it in this video because it's some amazing footage showing one of these possibly large miles-high square buildings on the moon. And this footage was actually used by the Sci-Fi channel in one of their newer documentaries called Aliens on the Moon. It's a 2-hour documentary. You can actually find it here on YouTube. So there's 2 different pieces of footage showing this same object captured by 2 different astronomers using their homemade backyard telescope setups. The first video of which you're seeing here, showing what looks to be a massive black square object sitting on the moon, complete with a large shadow reflecting behind it on the moon's surface. And if you haven't seen it yet, we'll zoom in for you here, and you can see this object. It looks, it's unmistakable, which is why I guess it's been used so many times in documentaries about the moon and alien activity happening on the moon. And it almost looks like something you would see at Stonehenge. It looks like 2 massive square stones stood up side by side, and then another massive square stone placed on top of it, like you used to do with wooden blocks when you were a kid. And this amazing footage was captured by the operator of the YouTube channel Richard205 Maria. So I want to give a special shout out to Richard for capturing this astounding footage. So be sure to check out his channel and his other videos. And then we have this second piece of footage showing the same object from another astronomer. This footage is a little bit older, and it was originally captured by a man named Alan Roswell. Now, we tried to track Alan down, but his YouTube channel doesn't seem to carry this footage anymore. So nonetheless, big thanks to Alan Roswell if you're out there. And as you can see once again, we have this large black square object sticking out like a sore thumb, casting a large shadow behind it on the moon. I mean, what more else is there to say? It's an amazing piece of footage. All of the images and video in this post that we're showing you now is, in our opinion, very amazing and mysterious and worthy of a second, third, and fourth look and analysis. It's been used as some of the best evidence for structures on the moon. We even have NASA images showing these blur marks where these large towers once stood, where NASA has tampered with the image and smudged the objects out. So there's no doubt there's towers on the moon. And we know that there's alien activity happening on our lunar neighbor. So if you've watched our videos, you know that to be a fact. And if you haven't, be sure to subscribe and check back through all of our videos. We have some pretty amazing footage, not just from the moon, but from the Earth, from other planets, from space, and the evidence is irrefutable. So be sure to Again, like, share, and subscribe on your way out. I really appreciate it, and I hope that all of you have a wonderful day or night, whichever that may be, or wherever you are in the world. So stick right here. We love you guys, and we'll see you soon.